right, welcome back everybody to another GYLP Momentum session. This is the first official panel for the Momentum sessions, and we're starting it off with the team leader panel. We have a stacked group of people today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we're going to start with the one and only Pepper. You're online.
The one and only Pepper. I love it. Hello, everyone. I am Pepper. I actually do have a last name, Fortman, and I'm coming to you live from California. I'm actually at my parents' house visiting. We're going to be doing some parent do lists, getting them set up for the winter, cleaning gutters and good stuff like that. As far as questions to ask me, all I'm going to say is that I am one of 6 children. I have 9 nieces and nephews. My family is the love of my life. I've worked in corporate America for 30 years. I'm involved with working with youth as well as being one of the trainers. You know, pretty much come with me with whatever. And obviously I'm a female, so ladies, if there's anything along those lines, I'm there for that too. And you know, don't ask me anything about hair upkeep and things like that other than that.
Awesome. And then next we've got Nate.
Hello all. I'm Nate Thompson from Colorado, and I've been passionately serving global youth leadership for 7 years now, and I do this professionally as well. So I work in organizational leadership, my academic background, and all my experiences in transformation work. So clearly I'm very passionate about this, and to me any question is fair game. So come with your best stuff, and we'll do whatever we can to serve.
Awesome. And then next we've got Mark.
Hey guys, so my name is Mark. I'm originally from the UK, but now in Los Angeles. So I'm here at 7:05 in the morning. So good morning. My background is I'm a pharmacist, which is why some of you might have seen me on the medical team in the past. Very happy to now be with the team leaders. And pretty much anything is fair game. I've worked with businesses, I've worked in health. So anything health, business, or anything else that you can think of is, as Nate said, completely fair game.
Awesome, guys. And my name's Sergio. I'm the host of the Momentum Sessions, also a rookie team leader like Mark. And if you guys want, you can ask me some questions too. I'll be here, but we're going to focus them on them. So I'm going to start with the first question. What made you guys want to even be part of this panel? So we'll actually go backwards this time. We'll start with Mark.
Wow, I mean, what an exciting opportunity. This Momentum panel is so awesome for you guys to be able to continue that relationship and that community that we built up at GILS, or GYLP. And I think it's just a special time where we can hang out and we can chill and we can relax and we can get to be with each other again and continue with that. As far as my one,
I still can't hear you.
It's all about being with the community and being here. So
I can't hear it, Nigel.
Hi, Melissa, you're on, and we're live. I'm going to mute you because
No, it's not.
it's our time. We're live, but awesome. Melissa's on, and she's all the way from Australia. Right now, it's 7 in the morning for Mark, and it's 12:07 at midnight for Melissa. So we have a worldwide group of people. Melissa, I'm going to unmute you quick. We're live, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from. So we'll send it to Melissa. You're live.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Okay, so hi, it's so great to be here. I'm Melissa Gilbert, so I'm from Sydney, and I had the privilege of being at the event in August, and so very happy to be part of it. It was a wonderful experience. I've been involved in the Tony Robbins organisation, or my first UPW was in 1996, and I've been a trainer for close to 12 years, so yes, that's my background. So wonderful to be part of this amazing team of people here.
Amazing, Melissa. We just made it work. Now, the first question next up for you is, why did you want to be part of this panel? What made you want to be a part of it? And especially for you, because it's midnight for you.
Yes, yeah. Well, what I want I just think that it, for my children as well, being part of a big why I wanted to actually do the event in August was because I do have 4 kids, and I'm passionate about being the best mum that I can be, and it's always in growing and expanding and getting out of your comfort zone as always, no matter where you are and what you do. And that's a big part of the reason why I'm doing this as well, is technology is something that I'm growing and learning in this Generation X and Generation Y, so a great place to be out of your comfort zone with the technology. But no, it's great to be here, and it's also great to be part of the team as well. So the kids are a big part of that.
Yeah, no, you're doing great with the technology, Melissa. All right, next on to what made you want to be part of the panel?
Did you say Nate? Did you say Nate?
Yep.
Okay, so I want to be part of the panel because I'm a passionate believer that when we do this kind of stuff in community, we all get better. And we're all at different levels on our arc of development, and that's fine, but sometimes it just helps to talk together and kick ideas around together and be in this community. So I guess the essence of that is let's be in community, let's stay in community, and I'm in to help however I can. I like this idea of being a leader and a follower, so I learn as much from you all as I hopefully help you all, so I'm in to do this together.
I love that. That's awesome. And Pepper, what made you want to be on the panel?
Well, first
off, if you move your camera up just a tiny bit, you see your beautiful shirt and your beautiful smile. There you go.
Is that better?
There we go.
Okay. I just don't know where to look when I have it this way, so tell me if I'm looking kind of sideways.
You kind of look down. You just look at the camera.
I don't know where my camera
Kind
is.
of to the left.
That way? That way?
That way.
Okay. I'm just going to talk.
Right.
With regards to why I want to be part of the panel, I don't know where the freaking camera is. Is stop, Melissa. All right. I have someone that I meet with once a month. We connect. We keep each other going and moving towards our goals. We bounce ideas off of each other. I'm part of a 90-day program where we're checking in, we're putting things on Facebook, and that helps me keep things going. And I think back to Marlon, where he says, what makes a good year? It's good months, it's good weeks, it's good days, good hours. And so it's time to get of this panel is an opportunity to be part of a good hour, if you say, to be part of something that's moving people forward, including myself. I love what Nate said. This is about learning from each other. So I get as much as I give. At least I hope I'm giving as much as I'm getting, because I get so much in return. But it is about the continual momentum, and anything that I can do to support that, the way others have supported me. And the main reason is I said I would.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey.
All right, so we'll get right into the first question. We had a couple people that were asking questions in advance to make sure they got the people that weren't able to be on live, and then we'll obviously be taking some live questions also. So first off, the first question, and a big birthday shout out to Lawson. His question, not specifically to anyone, so whoever wants to take it can. What do I do if my peer group is not pushing me to be my best, especially if these friends have been there my whole life, and I can't just let them go and find new people because I love them and they won't change? So who would like to tackle that one?
I will.
All right, Melissa, and then Pepper can chime in.
I think Tony always says that you, in changing your peer group, it's not necessarily changing who you already have, but it's expanding it. And I think one of the gifts of expanding your conversation is one of the things that you talked about last week, Sergio, and I really loved, is having mentors and having other people in your peer group so that they hold you to a higher standard. So I don't necessarily think it's moving or changing who you have, but it's expanding what you have, so that you're having people in your life where you're growing, learning, and committed to what you're involved with. And again, I think that's a big part of it. The peer group, who you spend time with, is who you become, and it is such an important part of the momentum going forward. So choosing your peers wisely is so important.
That's fantastic. Pepper, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I get the it's hard to let go because you care about them. There may even be a sense of loss because, you know, they're fearful you're leaving them behind, and they want you to stay their friend, and they see you getting different. So you're also might be a reminder of what they could be doing. But the thing is, with regards to things that I've learned, is love your family, choose your peers. Love your family, choose your friends. Peers. And it's the same thing with regards to your friends. You can love them, you can bless them and send them on their way, they can stay. But if you go back to the way you were, how is that going to support them in the future? How is that going to help them? And ultimately, how will you feel about yourself? So if your friends aren't there, that's what this panel's about. That's what this momentum session is about. These are the folks that are going to encourage you to move forward. And you need to spend more time with and develop, as Melissa says, additional friends. And who you want, where you want to go and what you want to accomplish. If it's based on other people, then it's not going to be resonating with you. And so my thing is, what do you really want? Not based on anyone else. What do you really want? Where do you really want to go? And how are the people around you going to help you get there? And if they're not, love them, encourage them to come along with the ride, support them, but go get what you need so that you can be exactly what you set out to be.
That's an amazing answer.
I'd love to add to that.
Oh, perfect. All right, Mark.
You know, we have such a great, strong peer group here within this GYLP community. So it's hard to sometimes move on and find new friends. As Pepper and Melissa both said, it's hard. But you've got a great group of friends right here in this momentum sessions and on the GYLP Facebook page and in the Magic Moments page. Use them. Use these people as your peers. They're passionate about the same things that you are. Use them. Get on Facebook, get on Messenger, get on Skype. Talk to these people here. Right here, this is your community of people who are really going to push you. And just something you can do real quick without necessarily having to change the friends that you have back home.
And just one more thing, it being hard, you know, it's just something that's going to stretch you. It's going to help you grow. You can do hard. Everyone can do hard. And I'm sitting here at my parents' house. You know, I used to be, you know, I don't know if many people know, I used to weigh a lot more than I do. My parents are growing kale in their garden now. They drink water and do things like that. If I had just stayed with the family and the way they did things, we go out and do 5Ks together and things like that. That's because of the influence I had and stayed true to what I wanted to do. If I had just blended, I'd be on high blood pressure medication, you know, cholesterol, or possibly who knows. You know, so what is your potential for influence if you stay the same and you play small, or you let your light shine?
Nice. Nate, I know you got a little gem to add to that, especially because you asked the question, and then it led Marlon to talking about loving from a distance.
Yeah.
You have to add.
So what I have to add is I want to honor everything that was said, and I absolutely believe in all of that. And I want to take a little bit of a different approach. And my thought is this. Start to lean into the idea of having authentic conversations. So sometimes people want to kind of notice that it's not working and then start to put distance, right? And say, well, we're kind of trending apart. And the really kind of courageous and strong people will lead in and lean in and say, I'm going to have an authentic conversation with you, and I'm just going to ask, I noticed that we're not where we used to be. What does that feel like for you? How does that feel for you? What are you noticing? And what happens is a bunch of new information starts to come into play, and what goes away is assumption, right? So the assumption of, you know, you're like this and I'm like that and we don't. So just try to have an authentic conversation, get to real truth, and get rid of that assumption. I'm not saying it's going to fix everything, but what it will do is get you to a place where you guys can understand, and you will at least have built strength around having an authentic conversation. It feels way better than just walking away.
That's fantastic. Those were all
Absolutely agree.
incredible answers. Anyone have any final thoughts on that?
I've done what Nate has talked about, and it has opened up some great conversations. And I've also, you know, sometimes when it goes well, but sometimes it goes okay, and you don't necessarily walk away. It is what it is. I love that, Nate. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add a final thought to that, because tiny bit closer to your age group, I was there not very long ago. Not all of you guys were there not too long ago either. It must feel like a couple of days ago. But so I have had, and I was talking about this in my last session, I have had friends that have been to jail. I've had friends that are involved in drugs. And so those friends you can have authentic conversations with all you want. Just to play devil's advocate, there are some people that you have to love from a distance. And so lost choosing your peer group, it's hard, but sometimes you have to do what's right, and you'll know what's right in your gut. So that's my 2 cents for that. I won't go too long. The second question is going to be for me because I'm selfish and I want to get this question in. We're already 20 minutes in. And I'm sure a lot of you have had this experience before. I've had it myself. How do you change the state when you have the tools, you know exactly how to do it, and you just don't want to?
Are you taking this in there? Who? Because I want a shot.
I asked it. I know the tools, but I would love your opinion on how do you change your state when you know exactly how to? We all know the triad. We're all masters of the triad. Everyone watching, you all know focus, physiology, language. But when you don't want to, you know you could just pattern interrupt yourself. You know you could ask a better question and change your focus. You know you could say something else in your head, and you just don't want to.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I think. Do you want me to answer? Yeah, look, I think I was going to say pattern interrupt, go for a walk and drink lots of water and all those things, but you just said irrespective of that. But I think it's getting back. I think it's getting back to your environment and really having anchors in place that hold you, as you said last week, to that higher standard. So it really calls you to be higher, whether it be your buddy, your accountability buddy, whether it be something like the wood from the board break. Just anchors as much as you can to have around you to make sure that brings you forth to get out of that place where you do need to break your pattern, because that is an unresourceful triad, and moving yourself to that resourceful triad as soon as you can by having those elements around you. But obviously physiology first. You need to get out of that, go for a walk, get on the rebounder, take some breaths in, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Pepper?
Something for me. I'm just thinking about a couple of situations for myself. Sometimes I just want to be mad. It's what is the feeling? Why are you wanting to stay there? I'm curious as to what it is. It's never a matter of ability. It's always a matter of motivation. So
very good.
What is it there? I've had moments where I've been displeased with some behaviors of somebody, and I get into this. Well, I want to be mad, but who am I hurting ultimately, and who's it impacting? So I think about, okay, what needs am I getting met and things like that. But sometimes when someone else from the outside is trying to do that for me, I might resist a little bit. It's just, again, it's what is it that you really want, and how's this behavior going to move it there? So it's about motivation for me. And sometimes the motivation is I want to have a weekend with my friends Ben and Jerry and lay under the beds and lay under the covers and just watch a bunch of movies, and I think that's okay. It's called winter. It happens. It's a season. But I may visit that place, but I'm not going to live there.
Right.
And so if it's something that's a moment, it's a blip, but if it's something that's consistent, yeah, reach out, come get your peer group.
Awesome. Nate, Mark, you guys got anything to add? How do you change your state when you know how to and you don't want to?
I do. I've got a really recent example, actually, from a couple of days ago. So, as I said, I'm from the UK. I moved over to the US. Had to completely redo all my professional exams just because this country requires it. So it was something that I had to do, and I had an exam a couple of days ago. So I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, oh my gosh, I had an exam, it's stressful, I don't want to be there. Nervous about what questions are going to come up, and I was exactly the same. I was like, and it was such an unresourceful state, and yet I was happy in that unresourceful state because it was keeping me from doing anything. And there comes a point where you just have to do something. So For me, it was, yeah, I got up, I did a tiny bit of exercise, I started breathing differently, and I said, okay, I made a decision, this is what I have to do. And it was a decision. So the question is, what's driving you? If there's something that you're passionate about, or there's something that's really driving you to change your state, you'll change your state. If there's something, if you don't have that driving force to change your state, then you're not necessarily going to do anything about it. If you do, make a decision, say this is my driving force, this is my decision, and just do it.
Awesome. Nate, you got anything to add to that final one? Or
Yeah, I think for myself, I use that state story strategy a lot, and I ask myself, you know, what's going on for me? So if I'm not engaging something, whether it's with a person, whether it's with a project at work, whether it's with I recently finished a master's degree, and it took years at night, and there were nights I didn't feel like doing it. So there are plenty of times in my life where I run into this, and I just back myself into what's my state, what's my story about this, and what's my strategy. And I usually, the more I dig, the more I find what's going on there. And that it's always helped me. So it's like I get 3 different options. In the psychology of humans, when you have options, you tend to feel better, and you want to you get more traction. So I find for me, if I look at my state, my story, and my strategy, I often find what's going on, and I can start to tweak things to get progress. And I'll say one other thing that my friend taught me with rock climbing. In rock climbing, you can be on the rock, and it can feel very intimidating. And what Ben always says to me is, just move 1 inch. Just move 1 inch. And then what might open to you is a whole new world of opportunity on the rock. And I think about that a lot in life. If I can just move 1 inch, something new may open up. My why may change. My state story strategy may change. So that's what I got.
That is so awesome. Oh, man. Just move 1 inch.
Yeah, I love it.
And he always just comes in here with those pearls, you know, just keep saving them for the end, but bring them in at the beginning so I can probably be a little bit more wise.
Yeah. All right, we're going to start with Nate for this question.
One more thing. This is my Pinterest, and sometimes if I can't talk, I have a motivation one, and I just go through and look through my pictures.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's perfect.
And remind myself of the why.
All right, Nate, this next question is for you, and it's actually live from Navdeep. He's actually got 2 questions, so I'll see if we can blend them into one. The first question is, how do you as a leader sustain the momentum of teams outside of the GYLP setting? That's the first question. And the second one, also about teams, is how do you handle difficult team members? As in, they have a lot of energy, but it can come across as arrogance, my way is 100% right, and like to interrupt others. So basically, how do you sustain motivation, and how do you deal with difficult team members?
Yes. Okay, the first one is, there's a lot of science behind team change and team strategy. So if you like data at all, I would highly recommend looking at Kurt Lewin's work around change work, because he literally wrote the book on how group change and group dynamics. So I would highly recommend going that direction for your research. And kind of paraphrasing that work is, change only happens in groups when you can get people together and you can talk about it. So you have to understand and appreciate their world, right? You have to listen to where are they coming from, what's going on for them, why do they think the things that they think, what's the history of the group, are there some wounds that are still in place? So here's kind of the essence. Change work doesn't happen for humans or in teams without doing your homework and understanding where they're at, where they're coming from. And then once you can get that going, a lot starts to open up for the people about where they are and why they are, and that's that idea of getting leverage. You create a baseline and get leverage. So when they talk about everything, you start to understand what's going on for them, and then you can start to use it, right, in a very healthy and supportive way. And there's this other thing that I'll say in short is this idea of highest common intent. So if you can get a team pointed at something that's very compelling for them, their compelling why, highest common intent, we all are going for this thing, you can get a lot of traction really fast.
That's awesome.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, and then the second question, how do you handle difficult team members? Anyone want to tackle that? Or Nate, you got something?
Let's let the team have it. Somebody
All
else.
right. We're going to send that one to Mark.
Okay.
How do you handle difficult team members? Someone... And the example, as in they have a lot of energy and it comes across as arrogance. And then how do you flip that energy to awesomeness?
There's a study in personalities and different personality styles. So when you understand different personality styles, there's different models. You can look at the Greek 4 model, melancholy, sanguine, phlegmatic, and choleric, or you can make it really simple, and they're all based on Jung and Jung's philosophies and his personalities. And there's a nice simple one. You get the creator personality, so I'll break it down into 8 for you. There's a creator who's very up there and has a lot of ideas and goes really, really quickly, so starts lots of things and doesn't necessarily finish it. That'll be the same with the conversation. Then there's a star who everything's all about either them or something that they're talking about. So they like to shine a light on something. And you've got the supporter who will take something and set fire to an idea and have really great communication with pretty much everyone. Then there's a deal maker who likes to say, okay, who do I need to talk to? What am I talking to them about, and when do I talk to them about it? And they're really good with coming in and interjecting. And then there's a trader. The trader is someone who's a bit more grounded and down to earth, and they're very good at timing. So they know what time to approach certain things. You move on, you've got the accumulator. And the accumulator will hold on to things for a long time, but know how to manage it really, really well. Then there's a lord who will put a system in place, and then there's a mechanic who will create systems. Now, each of them has a different communication strategy. And when you can understand the communication strategy and how to talk to each of those profiles, then you'll be able to manage those people really, really simply, because you identify their personality, you identify the kind of words and language that they like to use and the timing that they like to use it in, and then it's really easy to communicate with them in their language. So you get away from your own language and what you want, and think about their model of the world. So as Tony says, step into their model of the world. Think about what they are, who they are, what they want, how they want it, and then communicate with them in their own communication mode.
That's fantastic, Mark. That sounds like such an in-depth model. If you have some sort of link that you can post to read more on that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you can actually. I have a summary on my website. It's simplyaskwealthdynamics.com, and there's a blog, and it goes into a summary of that.
That's awesome. We just got another live question from Emily Arlen. Hi, Emily, all the way from California. Any advice on how to maintain a strong relationship when distance changes from a few blocks away to an ocean apart? I'll actually start with that because I was just kind of in a long distance thing. I think the #1 thing is communication. It's how much you guys talk, because a strong relationship when you're an ocean apart, if you talk once a week versus every day, is going to make all the difference, right? I would schedule Skype calls, text message, email, are really the only forms of communication, and then depending on which ocean it is, I would plan a flight to go visit. That's my 2 quick cents. Which of you guys has had an ocean apart long distance relationship?
I dated 2 years long distance.
All right, Mark, so you can get on the first bit of this question.
Yeah, so my wife's American, I'm from the UK. I moved to the US because my wife's American, and that's why I'm over here now. But we dated for 2 years, pretty much over Skype. So as Sergio said, is the more you can communicate, the better. And here's what's really nice about a long-distance relationship, is that it does force you to talk. And it does force you to get to know the other person really, really well. So definitely communicate. I think I Skype just about every single day, for twice a day.
For 2 years?
For 2 years. There was always a how much do you each need and want? So once you know what the requirements are on both sides, like for my wife, she needed point of communication twice a day, whether that was a phone call on Skype whether it was an email, whether it was a message on Facebook, something, but a point of communication twice a day. So find out what it is that each of you need, and then honor it.
That's fantastic. Anybody else been in a across the ocean long distance? Or maybe even just across
I'll
the
add to that. So Heather and I, we're married now, but when we started dating, she lived in Maryland and I lived in Colorado, and so it definitely was a challenge. And to honor what everyone else is saying, technology has never been better. You have the best chance to connect. All the generations before you had to do way, way, way harder work. So just honor that, and then know that. If you make it a must, then you're going to find a way. And so Heather and I, between technology and jumping on a plane, she would fly out to me, I'd fly out to her. I know that that costs money, and we found ways to make it happen. I often paired it with business when I was consulting, so I'd fly out that way, do some business, and see her. So it's about getting creative and just making it a must. So I would say, if you really want it, and if you know in your heart that it's what you want to do, then find a way, get creative, and figure it out.
Awesome. Melissa, Pepper, you guys got anything to add?
No, I just think quality time
Yeah, Melissa?
Yeah, sorry, I always thought Pippa was there. Quality time is always really important. And I think that's the big thing about communication is when you're that distance away, you really get to know that person's needs and what they want because you're listening auditory rather than, so that it just really fine tunes what they really need. And that Gary Chapman book, I don't know if anyone's ever read that. There's the 5 languages of love and what's, what the person, whether they're somebody who likes gifts or whether they like quality time, and it's just a really valuable book to read about how your partner feels loved. And I think honoring that and giving that to the person is always an invaluable thing to create that, to honor your partner. But outside of that, no, I think I concur with all of those comments.
Hey, Melissa, and all that, the 5 Love Languages is an app now, and it's free. You can do it for free. So you guys, if you want to check that out, download the app.
That's awesome.
Fantastic resource, yeah.
Did you want to add anything, Pepper?
No, I'm taking notes. I'm good.
You're taking notes? All right, then I'll add one final little thing for you, Emily. Maintaining a strong relationship. If it's already strong, then yeah, all of that stuff is fantastic. If you're just starting out or if it's not at that stage of being strong, I think the most important thing long distance is being on the same page because it's very possible that if you're not on the same page and one person wants to talk every day, like Mark, Skype every day, and then the other's cool with once a week, then you're going to have challenges. So I think the first thing is becoming aligned, selecting who you want, and if you're going to go for someone long distance, it probably means that they're pretty amazing that you had to go that far to find someone. But definitely getting aligned and being on the same page. Sometimes you find an amazing, unbelievable person and the timing just isn't right. And so I think selecting, obviously, the person, but also having a standard for who you have selected, but then having a standard for the type of relationship you want to have with that person. Right? Let's go to the next question, which is from Ibtihal. This was a question in advance. How do you recommend we can manage our time between school and stuff to do everything that we want? So time management question. Who's that? We'll get that for Pepper.
I just smiled at that. My mother was full-time job, which is about minimum 40 hours. I'm training. I'm going to be doing a half iron, you guys, so I'm going to get my training going for that. Very into my family. This relationship you guys talked about, we're trying to get that going. And I'm in the middle of moving. I need to move from the place I am into another place within the same city. It's just time is one of the things I'm going to always remember is it's an emotion. And whether you think you have a lot of it or little of it just depends on where you are. But it boils down to pretty much everything. RPM, results, your purpose, and your massive action plan. Tony Robbins has this program called Time of Your Life. If you don't have it, go online, figure it out. But basically, it's what's the result you want and pinpoint it. What is the result? Where do you want to go? What is it that you want to accomplish? If you have a clear result, then hang out in the why. This goes back to some of the other questions. It's usually a matter of motivation versus ability. So why do you want it? What's going to drive you?
Yeah.
And then all the things that are going to help you get there. Take time to do those things about what you want to accomplish. And then what you'll find out is maybe there's a way someone else you can leverage other people. Look at Nate and what he and his Melissa did. You know, he incorporated business trips with times to visit with his love, and it was an included operation, if you will. So sometimes there's ways to build in time or maximize your time with things you do. I'm here and with my family. We're going to help my parents do something, get some things done. We're maximizing time by siblings coming in at the same time. I took time the day before to get some other things accomplished. I'm up early, so I could be on this with you folks. So it's about what's most important to you, what's going to drive you. Are there other resources available to help you get that done? And why? What's going to drive it? And you make time. Eleanor Roosevelt said, she goes, what needs to be done usually gets done. So if you really want it to be done, it needs to get done, you'll figure out a way. Just like they figure out a way to stay connected, to make the person feel loved and have these relationships, you figure out a way. And if you need resources, then you get online, you talk to folks, you call me or you text me, and we can brainstorm together.
That's fantastic. I'm going to send...
Yeah.
Did you finish? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I kind of like muted for a second. I'm going to send this next one to Nate. We've got 20 minutes left, so we're not going to go around the whole panel for each question so we can get more in because there's still a bunch. This one's from my brother Juan. How do you find leverage in someone that doesn't want to change? Classic question.
So I love this one.
I thought you might.
Here's the thing. There are a lot of good ideas in this world, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. So we're inundated with good ideas, but it doesn't mean anyone's going to do anything. And I'll prove it to you. How many times have you known a good idea? You personally have known a good idea, and you many times over many years thought about that good idea, and you thought, I should maybe do that, maybe someday, right? And you didn't do it, right? So it's not about having good ideas. And in some ways, going to GYLP gives us a bunch of good ideas, but that doesn't mean someone's going to do them, right? So instead of kind of peddling good ideas, take a different approach to this, and that is surface level doesn't work. If you want to get motivation, if you want to get insight, if you want to get traction with anyone, you have to start to understand who they are and where they're coming from. That's the bottom line. With all change work, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Because if you don't appreciate who they are and where they're coming from, the history and what they're dealing with, then it's probably not going to happen. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to work. But if you can get to that deeper cut of understanding and deeply connecting with someone, you can start to find their compelling why. You can start to find what drives them, their fuel, right? And these types of things are called a deep insight on this individual, and when you work with a deep insight, then you can start to get traction. So I'm not suggesting that you're always going to be able to walk in with anyone and just get change, and certainly not force change. We don't force change, we enable change, right? We work with people to support change, but whether it's self or others, I would go back to 3 letters, and that is why. If you can get to a compelling why, if you can get to a deeper insight that will drive something for them, that will spark something emotionally, physically for them, you got traction there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Melissa?
Yeah, look, I'd also say what Nate said is really having rapport with that person. I think the skill, one of the most important skills you can have is the ability to build rapport with people. And that's, again, what you were just saying, understanding and appreciating their model of the world. What is their identity? What is their driving force? If you want to look at the 6 human needs, your certainty, variety, loving connection, significance, growth, and contribution, what do they value the most out of those top needs? Like, what are their 2 top needs? And getting an understanding of that. So what's the wound there if you take away that need, and how would that be? That's a huge leverage for them. And also, too, most of us will do more for others than we will do for ourselves. And I love that point about having different options, because changing your approach, it may mean that you need to look at other options to get the outcome. It might be 1 option is no option, 2 options is a dilemma, and 3 options is choice, and having that process where you're looking for options to get the leverage. And again, as you said, it's under the umbrella of rapport.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic, Melissa. And it's funny that you went right to rapport, because I was going to send the next question to you, and it's about rapport. It's actually from Felix, and if I'm not mistaken, you're the most senior trainer here, so you should be pretty easy to handle Felix.
Great. Great, thanks, Felix.
The question is, when you approach people that you don't know, how do you build rapport quickly?
Match and mirror. I think looking at their body language and matching and mirroring their body language, pacing and leading. So understanding with their language, so you're not really in their really visual or auditory, but just matching and mirroring, I think, is the first step. And talking to asking questions. Again, it depends on if it's a male. You don't necessarily ask huge amounts of questions, but it's just really, matching, mirroring, asking questions, understanding where they are at, that sort of thing is how I would do it. Yeah, good feeling. Yeah.
Fantastic. Pepper has something to add, and even before that, Huang, for Nate's answer to Huang's question, hashtag Nate for president. Pepper, you have something to add about building rapport quickly?
Well, yeah. Tad, he's one of the head trainers. He shared a story recently, and he did an experiment because he didn't really buy into this. I wouldn't say buy in. He wanted to do some additional study of his own with regards to matching and mirroring. And he shared a story that he was on a plane, and the rule was when he would get on the plane and the person he sat next to, he couldn't talk to them. And he would sit down, and what he would do during the flight is do exactly what Melissa said, match and mirror. And so if they reached for a cup of water, he would do it. Not at the same time where it was weird and creepy. Crossing the legs, matching their breathing. And he did that. And at the end of the flight, I forget the numbers exactly, but it was at least 80% of the times, he said the person would stop him and go, "Excuse me, do I know you?" And it was strictly from matching and mirroring. They had that sense of familiarity with them. And my goal was to try that on my most recent trip. I did Life Wealth Mastery here recently, but go figure, I started talking to the people. So that kind of blew that. But that just shows how powerful what we do with our physiology and aligning with someone else, it creates that sense of familiarity. So I thought it was a great example.
That's awesome. Now we've got about 15 minutes left, and I want an answer from each of you guys for this question, so I'm going to fire this off, and then if we get any more, we'll add on. This is actually an anonymous question. We had a couple, but this is probably the one that most people can relate to. Some people are fired up and have amazing momentum after GYLP, while others get that post-high crash. Do you guys experience the post-GYLS blues, and what do you think makes the difference? So we can start with Pepper, and then we'll go the other way.
No, I did not experience the blues, the straight answer to that.
Maybe not after this one, but have you ever? After an event, maybe after your first UPW? If you never have, that's awesome. Some people are fired up, have amazing momentum. Others get that post-high crash. Have you ever experienced it? What makes the difference?
Okay. I personally have not experienced it. I have supported others who have experienced it. For me, it was the excitement of what I've learned and putting it into play in my life. It wasn't so much the event. I was getting tools and resources to implement into my life. And in the trainer world, we talk about and anyone, and Marlon talked about it. It's what we do outside of the program that matters. If being in this little bubble is what drives us and excites us, that's fine. It's great. But this is where we go to fill up. This is where we go to get our resources. And it's what we do outside that has even more impact and influence. So I've always gotten excited for that. And for those who, I'm thinking of someone that went to a date with destiny, and afterwards she just really went into a very dark place. And getting back to Nate's comment, state, story, strategy. What was her state? What was she focusing on? Who was she? What was her story behind what all this meant? What was her strategy? So asking those questions, what are you doing? What were you doing at this event that you aren't doing now? What were you telling yourself? What was your story at this event that you're not telling yourself now? What are your strategies at the event? What were you doing then that you aren't doing now? And if you only do it once a week for a year, how's that really changing you or anyone else?
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. Nate?
Yeah, echoing what Pepper said exactly. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Tony calls that momentum. We're talking about physics too. This is when you come out of those. If you keep taking steps, right? Keep moving 1 inch, keep moving 1 foot, do it day by day. There's traction that happens and a momentum that travels that will carry you through the tough spots. It's for me, for sure, and I think for most people, when you're going to the gym, you're having progress, you're feeling good, it's easy to keep momentum. When that starts to wane or even stop, it's much harder to get back over that hump. Of course we can. Of course we can. And it's just that important reminder to say, even if you're doing the smallest thing every day, do it. Keep the momentum, and as Melissa said, keep using all those resources around you, whether it's peer groups or books or audio books or jumping on a chat like Mark said. Whatever you need to keep momentum, use it, and then what will happen is you'll see a trend, right? People who lose momentum trend down. People who just stay straight have basic momentum, and then what we want to do is continue to slowly trend up, right? That's what I got.
Yeah.
I think the recurring theme from both of those was what makes the difference is people who take action versus people who go get some ideas and then just go back home, right?
Do something.
Yeah, Melissa?
Look, I think what Nate was saying is, again, it's that seventh power of the seven master step. It's really that people, places, things, and it's creating that momentum around the people that you surround, increasing that peer group, and having this, what you're doing here is such an amazing resource for people, and what Felix does at the event. Also, your places, where can you go out and hang out that can be sort of empowering you? So rather than going to the gym, going for walks, doing things, and having an environment around you like that really builds you forth to continue that momentum. I also think having vehicles like just having this vehicle being the Robbins environment is one vehicle, but you need to have other vehicles to meet your 6 human needs. And I think that's another big thing, is having other interests like exercise or friends, just different vehicles outside of this. This also empowers you to get out there and expand. I think focusing on contribution and giving and sharing this with others is a great way to really keep it outside of you, because I think when we're giving to others, often our needs are met more from giving to others than just internalizing it. That's another way of sort of looking at it.
Fantastic. And Mark?
Oh my gosh, I've been there. My first event, it was awesome. It was amazing. This was my first UPW. It was really incredible. And then I got home and I didn't do much with it. But what I did do was I came back, I went to UPW again, and I started querying, and I started to build the community around me, of people who would support me and who would push me. And we didn't have the momentum sessions back then, but you just start building those connections. And then what I found is the more you go out and you teach what you're doing, and you share it with other people, and you find where you're passionate about and something you're really passionate about, and you hang on to that and you start taking action on it, as Pepper said, it's all about the action. Start taking action on something you're passionate about, connect it to something you're passionate about, teach it, share it, and you can't help but to move forward.
Mm.
That's awesome. Those are all amazing answers. So I think the resounding answer was what makes the difference is basically taking action, right? It's
Yeah.
actually doing something with the information you learn instead of just going to take it all in and then not doing anything. We have a couple more minutes, so we can maybe get one more question in. This is an interesting one. We could each talk for an hour about it, but we'll try and keep it short so we can all get an answer because I'd love all of your opinions on it. It's about the 6 human needs. So, of the 6 human needs, your top driving, and this is an anonymous question, sorry. Of the 6 human needs, your top needs drive the direction of your life. Choosing love or contribution or growth will change the decisions you make and the course of your life. Which is your top need, and how do you choose which one it should be? That's an interesting question. So,
Yeah.
Pepper?
Oh, me. Okay, sorry. It goes. You know what you said. It boils down to action. So teach it, live it, share it. You know, main thing is live it. All right. So with regards to the top needs, is what is it that I want ultimately for my life? What is it that I want to accomplish? And what needs to be there to move that forward? One of my top ones is love and connection. I'm a shock. And sometimes I'm going back to Nate's comment about leaning into that authentic conversation. Sometimes having that conversation is about love and connection. The person may or may not see it at that moment, but if I know I'm coming from here and this is my intent and I want to serve and I want to understand and I need to have that conversation in order to create what needs to happen ultimately for everyone, then that's what I decide. But it's based on what I want to accomplish. So which 6 human needs need to be top and things like that, it depends on what it is that you need to accomplish and what your goal is and where you want to be. There's no wrong order. It just depends where you are and what you want to accomplish and who's involved. Who do you need to be in that moment to best align with yourself and to live it more fully, but more important, and also not more importantly, but in addition, who you're going to serve. Who do I need to be? What's the state? What's my story? What's my strategy? It keeps coming back to President, Nate Thompson.
President Nate Thompson, and he's next. We got about 5 minutes, so let's aim for like a minute and a half each. Which is your top need? How do you choose which one should be the top need?
I think what Pepper said is of paramount importance. It depends on where you are in your life, because if we just give you a rote answer here, it might not fit with where you are. So that in play, then I would say it also depends on whether it's empowering you or disempowering you, because you can take any of those needs and use it and try to be it in a healthier or an unhealthy way. So I would take a look at what's really going to empower you. And then for me, I'll just tell you a personal kind of way I approached it is there was a time in my life where I was really struggling, and I knew that if I could just learn and grow, and then through that learning and growth I could also contribute, that I would start to get a lot of the other things that I was looking for. So I found for me that I was able to sort of include a lot of the other 6 human needs when I focused on growth and contribution. And I'm not saying that anyone has to take that approach at all, but I found when I was in a tough time in my life, the more I learned and the more I gave, the better all the other things got for me. So that's just my personal story.
That's fantastic. Melissa?
Yeah, look, for me it's love and connection and contribution. But look, I think one of the, I don't think there's a right or wrong with what you have, but I think it's when you overuse something. And I think one of the gifts of having that awareness is when you have that. In the past for me it was the need for certainty, and being aware of that and how much that was part of my life, which it just gives you such an opening to change and for transformation. And again, it gets down to where are you heading, what's most important to you in life, and what need is going to serve you more. And again, I don't think there's right or wrong. It gets down to that. He talks about the soul needs, growth and contribution, and I think really having those as part of your life, that it is transformational. Giving and contributing, there's nothing more fulfilling, and that's what he talks about as the fulfillment cycle, is having those two needs as part of it at some level. Well, all of the 6 needs are there, but living where they're at a higher level than they were in the past, and not necessarily needing that need for certainty where it becomes something that is disempowering you. And I think that's the value of the 6 human needs, is understanding where you are, what's the cost, and what do you want to have, where do you want to move forward to. That's the awareness. I think that one of the most powerful technologies that Tony offers is the 6 human needs, and also variety. The value of the variety side of things for me is really, I love, looking out and making magic moments for my family, and that's really ensuring that I create variety for them as well. And it's having that awareness of the needs and how you can utilize them and empower your family as well, and people around you. And I love that magic moment thing that you're doing as well. It's just so important to create magic moments. And yeah.
Thanks, Melissa. Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a very similar position to Melissa. At one point, I had certainty as my top human needs, and it's great at some level. And then it gets to the point where, well, maybe it's a bit restricting, so well, why not just try on something else? And I tried on variety. And you can't really get more opposite than that. So from certainty to variety, and it gave me flexibility. It gave me pretty much everything that I needed at that point. And then I moved on, and I moved to love and connection. And so that, the nice thing about the 6 human needs is we all need all of them, and we can all use all of them at different times. So it doesn't matter what your number 1 human need is, because you can decide to change it or try something else on. And then if that's not working great for you, try something else on. And if that's not working, try something else on. Just go through them. Say, okay, how does this one serve me? How does the next one serve me? And just try it out. Sometimes I'll go into a clothing store to buy new clothes, and I need a new suit. And sometimes I'll try Armani, and sometimes I'll try Gucci, and sometimes I'll try Dior, and sometimes it doesn't matter which it is. Just try it out and see how it makes you feel, and see how it fits, and see how it progresses you in your life. And if there's something else that you say, okay, well, it's time for a change, or it's time to move on, or this isn't serving me great, try a different one. The nice thing about the 6 human needs is they're not set. You choose.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And I think
just to add to that, yeah, Melissa?
So I was just going to say, it evolves over time as well. As your life changes, they do change, and that's an absolute big part of it as well. They do change.
Yeah, for sure. So just to kind of add to that, it's confusing because Tony says the secret to living is giving, clearly promoting contribution. He also says progress equals happiness, promoting growth. And then he says the deepest fears are the fear that you're not enough and you won't be loved, implying that basically your deepest value is love. And so he kind of promotes all three. It's not about which is the most important one or which one is the right one. It's what stage you're at, because at different stages, like all these guys said, they're all going to serve their purpose to be number one at different stages. I've had stages of having all three first. I think having a growth stage as your top need needs to come before having a contribution as your top need, because if you have contribution as your top need before you've had that period of growth, you're not going to be full and have a lot to give, right? For me, a couple of years ago, I had a really heavy variety stage where I went skydiving, I bought a motorcycle, and that served me at that time. But then I realized, and it's what Melissa was talking about, awareness. You want to be aware of what your needs are and if they're serving you. I moved from variety, I think, to growth, from growth to contribution, and then ultimately you realize that love is kind of the top need that, for me at least for now, that is serving me. I think we're all out of questions and we're pretty much out of time. Any final thoughts? Pepper, I know you got your hand up.
I just wanted to say, in line with the 6 human needs, what Tony promotes or talks about is all 6 of the human needs.
Yeah.
The 4 are the primal, we all need them. Where they rank is a difference. And the last 2, contribution and growth, are about the soul. And one of the things I'm going to mention here, significance sometimes gets a bad rap, but that's one of the places I'm hanging out a little bit, because it's just talking about yourself, your esteem. And one of the challenges I had most recently at an event was, Pepper, take time for yourself. I posted on Facebook, you can't pour from an empty cup. And taking care of yourself, that's part of giving too. You can't give what you don't got. So taking time to give for yourself and realizing you're worth the time, you're worth taking a break, you're worth stepping off this world and letting it spin without you, that's fine too. Significance is right up there. It's one of your 4 primal needs. Taking time to take care of yourself, just as important as giving and growing and being there for other people's variety and certainty and things like that. So I just wanted to do a commercial for significance, because sometimes it gets about
No, for sure, I agree. And people, anyone who's ever achieved anything really big wanted to make a significant contribution. Like Mother Teresa, she obviously valued contribution and love number 1, but she wouldn't have had such a large impact if she didn't want to make a significant impact, right? Significance, yeah, it gets that bad rap, but I think it's because Tony kind of gives it that bad rap. Who values significance and certainty? Because a lot of people use negative vehicles to meet it, when really you could use positive vehicles. They're like these momentum sessions, obviously I get some significance from it, but it's a positive vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's about, it's not just about what your needs are, what the top ones are, it's the vehicles you use to meet them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're pretty much out of time. Any final thoughts? What do you guys want to leave us with? We'll start with Mark. Give us that 30-second final. Team leader advice. One piece of advice you could give to people watching. 30 seconds.
I'm going to make this really simple. Find something that you're really passionate about. Go out and build a community around that with people who are passionate about the same thing, and just do something. Be passionate and be happy with it.
Perfect. Awesome. Melissa? It's like 1 in the morning over there.
Yeah, just yes, 2 actually. It's daylight saving. Look, just to get out there and yeah, that's okay. I just think with the building rapport, utilization, let life happen for you, not to you, and just anchor those states. And I think the power of state management, just really reinforcing the states in the morning, getting up and doing the hour of power, gratitude, visualization, what you're looking for. Very powerful way to start the day. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be part of this. Thanks, Sergio.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for making it happen. Nate?
So keep doing this, keep learning and growing, keep hanging out with people who are passionate about life, and don't worry so much about the how. Just get going in that beautiful direction and keep going.
Awesome. Yeah. Just move an inch, right?
Just move an inch.
Mine is, remember what Marlon said in the beginning, is own your greatness. Realize there's greatness in this room. OMG is own my greatness, and just keep doing that. Fill your cup, take care of you, reach out, know you're not alone, know you're part of a community that loves you and cares for you, and go forth and do great things.
Amazing. All right, guys,
awesome.
Thank you all so much for getting on the panel.
Thank you.
For all the viewers, we'll see you guys next month for the next session, which is going to be led by Mehul and Chuck, the team leaders of the alumni. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you.